This is going to be called The Gates of Hell. It's going to be pretty heavy, but I got to get it over with and go into some better things. But I need you. It's important for you to know what I went through in 2021, summer and fall. But before I get started with that, I missed a good opportunity at the end of the last episode, which I had a lot of fun doing, but I screwed up. I didn't end on the proper way I should have. Yeah. Two of those. I'll try not to mess up my fart distribution. I'll start to use that more wisely. Ooh. Okay. So, Tyler's left too. Yeah, it's funny. Fart's funny. I'm telling you. So, before I get started, down through the gates of hell, there was I'm glad to be here right now, but I'm not feeling good. I had a really, really rough Sunday and Monday where I was in bed most of the day. Again, not sleeping, not feeling good. Last night, I'm feeling better than I was. I couldn't get out of bed most of those 2 days. It was awful. And then my wife, we changed the hose on my CPAP machine last night. And for the first night in a long, long time, I actually slept. I didn't snore and keep her up. It's a combination of that, and I meditated deeply. It was wonderful. Then I also had a pillow I bought called a Medcline. So online, I bought it. It's about a 45-degree angle. Your arm can go through. It has a big, long pillow, little L-shaped. So it's on your head, then it goes all the way like a body pillow, which I never thought I'd use, but it's amazing. So finally slept, and I'm hoping tonight I will sleep well again. So I will feel a lot better. So, sorry. So we're going to start with spring of last year. A year ago. It's already spring now. And I was not feeling great, but not bad. But I played golf a lot. And I was playing really well. And then early summer, I started getting bad, and I couldn't play. Had to quit. It's just too hard to keep my balance over the ball without falling. So I was desperate, and I ran into an old friend at the grocery store, and we were talking about what I'm dealing with. He had heard about it, and he was telling about some things he was dealing with. And he said he had started taking testosterone and steroid shots. He'd been doing it for years, and he said it just helped him tremendously. And I was like, ooh, okay, I got to try this. So I did it, ordered all the stuff, and started doing it. And I started with one shot of combination of testosterone and steroids, one shot in my arm. And I also bought, other things I could try. Had these peptide shots that I would do daily in my stomach. It wasn't too bad. Tried that for a few weeks. Initially thought I was maybe feeling something. I was just so desperate to feel better. I think it was just my mind playing tricks on me because it didn't really help. But I kept going. I kept doing more. So I started doing 2 shots a week of testosterone and steroids. And I started doing the peptide shots every day, and I was also taking oral steroids, pills, once a day. Too much. But again, I was desperate, so I kept going. It wasn't helping, and it was also at the same time I was not sleeping real well at all, as usual. So the doctor gave me there was one pill that was a low dose. It didn't do anything. So then he gave me a doozy, like a horse tranquilizer, Klonopin. Started at 0.5 milligram, then went to 1 milligram. And it works, but you don't have a life. I couldn't get out of bed, couldn't move. So I was in this period where I'm taking testosterone, and steroid shots, and edibles, oral pills during the day, and at night I'm taking Klonopin, and I can't get it. It was awful. And I finally kind of something hit. Well, I know when it hit. It was Labor Day weekend. I was up in Michigan, not doing good, and I got the news that a dear friend of mine, Jimmy Healy, had passed away, and that was hard, very difficult. And the next weekend was his funeral, and I was asked to be a pallbearer, which I was really going to miss that. Not for Jim. I've never done that before. So it was a lot, especially for me. I had to be up at 9:30 in the morning at the funeral home, and then they say some prayers there. Then we take the casket and the hearse, and we do a procession to the church. And it was obviously sad, but it was beautiful, with everyone saying beautiful things about Jim and his family. I mean, he was a great friend. I loved him. I miss him. Always just so fun to be around, laughing at my stupid shit I'd say all the time. But what's even greater was him as a husband to his beautiful wife Erica, and his two children, Kyle and Alex. They were always together. He didn't miss anything they did, any events. He was coaching him. He was that kind of a person, and I think about him a lot, and I miss him. I know I'll see you soon. I just hope it's not too soon for me. So rest in peace. And so we proceeded over to the church. The pallbearers are standing outside. And since this is getting heavy, I think now's the good time to sprinkle a little humor in here, because this actually happened. And probably inappropriate. Sorry, Erica, but it happened. And I think Jim would have liked it. So we're standing outside the hearse as the casket's coming out. And the guy on my left, guy on my right, and more people on each side. We're waiting there. It's pretty somber. And then my friend to the left of me simply says, "Hey, you ever jerk off with your left hand?" And I'm like, "Oh." And at first, and the guy right me out there is like, "What the hell?" And me, without skipping a beat, I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah, all the time. The sleeper, I sit my left hand till it falls asleep, and I jerk off and look the other way, and it feels like it's somebody else." And the guy next to me, he's just like kind of nodding his head, smirking. He's like, "What do you think Jim would think of this conversation?" I go, "You know what? I think he laughed his fucking ass off." And he started smiling and going, "Yeah, yes, he would." So just had to lighten things up a little bit. So we went into the church, did the service, and we came back out, went to the procession to the cemetery for the burial. And that's when things got really difficult for me, because it was really hot, and I had to walk, holding the casket for a little bit. Okay, there was other guys there, but then they put on some rollers, and I would walk it down to the burial site. And it was really hard, just keeping my balance. And it was hot. So we went through, buried Jimmy, and then walked back up the hill. Again, I was just sweating profusely at this point. It was not feeling good. When we got up to the cars, and I was sweating so much, my friend was driving, like, "I need to get in the car and start it, please. I got to cool down." So I sat in there for probably 20 minutes, just air blowing on me, blowing on me to cool me down. It's part of this disease is that my inability to regulate temperature. I get real hot and real cold real fast, and neither one are good. But I managed to cool down, and then we drove back to where the reception is going to be, and there was still some other thing going on in that reception area. So we went to a bar that was next door to have a few drinks till this other place was ready. We did. We had, and I actually was feeling okay, but after 5 minutes, I had a drink with some guys, Toast and Jimmy, and started on the second one, and then all of a sudden I turned white. I started sweating, dizzy, nausea. I couldn't hardly stand. I couldn't move, and I asked my friend, "Can you please get my wife?" And we walked up. She came over here and said, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "I got to get out of here." So they walked me out to the car, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm not leaving. I just want to sit in the car and again cool down." And for half an hour, just had air conditioning blowing full blast in my face, drinking water. People brought ice bags out and towels to help try and cool me down. It finally happened, and I was not doing good, but then Erica came up and sat with me for 5 minutes and talked, and that was really special. And then we went into the reception area as I wanted to, celebrate Jim, pay respects, hang out with his wife and his boys, and let them know what a great guy he was. So we did that, and it was okay for a little while, and then I needed to go home. So we went home and laid down for a little while, and then that night was, didn't feel great, but was okay. And then the next morning, the next day, I couldn't move. I was in bed all day. I was sweating, and then I would be freezing. I would crawl to the bathroom to get sick. It was awful. One of the worst days of my life. I thought at the time, but there's a lot more, unfortunately, which we'll get to. So basically, long story short is, by the end of the night, I couldn't eat anything. My mouth's trying to come on, get up. I can't move. And by that evening, she's like, this is not right. And she's like, this is the steroids, I think. And I go, I don't think that's what it is. But she's like, well, I got to take you to the hospital. I don't like this. And I said, yeah, let's do that. So she had to call 911 because she couldn't carry my fat ass in the car. I couldn't get up and move. So they had to bring the gurney in and take me to the hospital. And I was at the ER. Hospital was full, the room, so I spent the night in the ER, which was horrible. But they did some tests and x-rays and stuff, and it turned out I had pneumonia. And that is a side effect of this disease because they have what's called aspiration, which you have a hard time swallowing. And sometimes the fluid goes in my lungs. And of course, being hot and cold, having air blowing on me, most of it sure didn't help. So I was in the ER. It was terrible. But I was already feeling better because they had IVs and antibiotics hooked up, so I felt better, not great. And they brought me up finally got to a private room. And they still was not doing good. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. There was actually an alarm on my bed. If I tried to get up, it would go off. And the nurse would come around, what are you trying to do? I was just trying to sit up. I had to have them help me with a walker to even go to the bathroom. It was awful. And here's another funny part. I get some serious stuff. My wife would come back and forth. It's like, okay, I want to bring you some stuff. What can I get you? I'm like, yeah. How about change of clothes, toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant? And I said, she's like, okay. And I said, oh, and some gummies. I need gummies. And she's like, seriously? Exclamation, exclamation. I'm like, hell yes. I mean, I need gummies to be as ER. So that worked out well. But then, some more bad stuff. They were giving me all kinds of pills. And I realized when they were rattling off all these prescriptions, they had an old list. It wasn't updated. And they're naming off drugs. I'm like, what is that? I didn't take that in years. And like, no, don't take that. Like that. Then they got to the ones I was taking, so I took those. But what they did, at that time was trying to get off Klonopin and go to Trazodone, 150 milligrams, which I still take because that really works and it's no bad side effects. I don't wake up groggy. But they give me the Trazodone and the Klonopin, both. Not supposed to do that, one or the other. But I was so out of it, I didn't care, so I took them. And then for 2 or 3 days while I was there, and they gave me some more. So I basically took them, figured, okay, I'll take them the rest of the week. So basically I got hooked on sleeping pills. Not good. And finally I started getting better after a week. It would move. I had a walker for a while just to get around the house. That's how bad it was. But eventually I got out of that and was able to do a little bit better, but I was still doing the steroids, and testosterone, and a Klonopin. And at the point, I'm just like, I can't do this. I just can't do it. So I decided, when I talked to my neurologist, I told him I was doing the steroids, and he was not happy about that. But he said, well, if you're going to start it, then you need to, you can't just stop. Once you start taking that, you got to wean yourself off of it. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And same thing with Klonopin. You got to wean yourself off that. So I tried that for, I don't know, a week here and there, and wouldn't take it, or I just take a little. And then I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So I stopped. And it was the worst 2 weeks of my life. I thought I was convinced I was dying. I couldn't get out of bed. Again, withdrawal, sweating. 1 minute freezing, the next minute nausea, shaking. I couldn't eat. Again, I was convinced I was dying. And I had kind of given up. And, it's hard to sleep when you don't think you're going to wake up in the morning. And I was somewhat at peace with that. I'm like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I can't do this. But then I thought I would get upset thinking, oh, my wife's going to wake up tomorrow with me dead next to her. And I obviously didn't want that. So I was like, okay, just, keep pushing through, do whatever you can. And at that point, I wish I had been meditating, but I wasn't because I was too sick and really hadn't tried it yet. But I just wanted it to end. And then the thing is, I kept waking up. And, first few nights I was like, I'm done. And then kept waking up after, 4 or 5 days. I'm like, okay, I'm not dying. Let's keep going. But it was still bad. But it started to get better after a week and a half. And, the more I woke up, the more the anxiety lessened and would subside. So, sorry. I had starting to get through it. In the beginning, this point, I had asked I was feeling so bad, asked my doctor if I could take Adderall, something to try and improve the quality of my life. Because, I couldn't deal with this. And he wasn't sure should, and he was like, well, I got to talk to your neurologist, make sure it's not going to interfere with other stuff you're taking. So, about 2 weeks later, which I'm just starting to feel a little better, and he said, okay, we're going to give you, try it for 30 days. And the reason I'd asked him about that is because the summer before, I had taken one by accident. I thought it was a sleeping pill. My daughter's on it, prescription, and they were left in our bathroom and somehow managed to make it to my dresser. I thought it was sleeping pills, but it was not. Adderall, I had taken that 10 o'clock at night. I didn't sleep at all, but I felt good. Energy. So that was the reason I asked him, because, boy, if that could help at that point, let's try it. Anything. So I got that, started taking it, and I immediately felt better on Saturday. Not great, but better. Again, on Sunday, better. And on Monday, I felt really good. And almost too good. I'm like, well, it's get me too wired, so I'm like, I don't want to take too much. So I started taking a half capsule. And that was good for a few weeks. And then had a few bad days, so I went back up. So now I take 10 milligrams every morning, not night. And it's really, it's brought me back. It's helped tremendously. And so I'm still doing that, but let's see, a couple of things. Oh, we're getting close to finishing this one off, but we've got the website close to being done. Ted is helping with that. We've got T-shirts and wristbands that we're going to make available and raise some money for charity. It's not for me. As well as the CBD roll-on that I mentioned that I use every day and every morning on my legs, on my thighs, my hips, my back, and it works. I'm just going to tell you, you got to try it. And again, Tony's going to sell those on the website. There'll be some sort of link. We'll figure that out. And proceeds from that will go to to our foundation. And even my wife was using it, and for her back and her neck, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this really works." I go, "I know." So, what I wanted to do to help promote that is, I'm going to give 10 roll-on little bottles away, just to promote it. If you're not one of the 10, you can obviously go on the website when it's available and sign up right now. Or you can email me with questions. And I'm going to give 10 away, and they're $45 a piece. And I want to help promote it. I want to give them away to the first 10 people who send me an email, the Sandy Hahn podcast at gmail.com, and comment on the podcast and leave an address, and I'll ship it to you on me. So that is going to be about the end of this one. I'm not sure how long we went. I don't know, go 30 minutes, but I feel feel better already. Just having to do that from when I walked in was very difficult, and I'm already feeling a lot better. So I'm going to do another one. We're going to do something back to back. So I'm looking forward to this next one. It's going to be fun. So take care. Have a good one.